Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Dr. Mushroom.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and Derek turns into medical fungus.
Maybe I just want to be part of the Mushroom Kingdom. You don't know.
That is true.
Dr. Mushroom.
Dr. Mushroom.
You know what? I'm going to change my Twitter handle to Dr. Mushroom.
You know, it has some weird connotations to it.
What's the worst that could happen? That's like my motto in life. What's the worst that could happen, really?
It's a good motto to have. Not these days, because the answer is always worse. Can always get worse. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. I was repotting plants like all day today, so that's my plant therapy. And then I went to a baby shower this weekend, which went really well.
You did? I heard it was a big success.
Yes.
How about you, Dr. Mushroom?
Dr. Mushroom.
You know, I hung out with some fun guys and had a party. It was one of those weekends.
It's so dumb.
All right.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. It's brilliant. No! It's just dumb.
I did not do any of that. I didn't hang out with any fun guys or gals even. I just was getting over my cold, which I'm happy to say I am pretty much over now. Now Sarah's got it again, so that's great. And just worked on some new music. Wrote a new song, so that was fun.
Nice.
But guys,
I want to write some songs.
Yeah, well, I was like, you know what? I haven't messed around with the guitar for a while, so I went in there and recorded a whole scratch track and laid down a lead, and was like, okay, now I need to do all the rest of the stuff. But it started, so there you go. It's the hardest part is starting it.
Right.
But guys, we have a lot to talk about today because we journeyed back into the world of the Krites for the third time with this week's episode. And we're going to talk all about it. We're going to talk about the good times, the bad times, the Led Zeppelin of it all. But before we do that, I've got a very interesting set of horror news. You guys want to hear it?
Let's do it, because it's most likely better than this movie. Of which I have a feeling I'm going to have to apologize to you guys later, so I'll save that.
We'll see. We'll see. You never know. It all depends on the mood, I think, that you catch it in. So let's start with this. We've been on this journey for a while, guys. I've got some more casting news for David Gordon Green's Exorcist. Because apparently, it was 95% done, according to that one article, which had to be bullshit at this point.
Yeah.
Because they're still casting, and this is a pivotal role, apparently. Jennifer Nettles, a country singer, has a role in the new David Gordon Green movie, obviously. I don't know what her part is yet, but she is now starring in this movie. So, like, it just never ends.
My face was doing so many things while you were saying all of that.
I was trying to make sense of it because it started like rereading and doing some weird stuff, and I was like, "What the hell is it doing?"
Yeah.
So yeah, she has joined the cast as a character who tracks down. Oh no, that's not it. She doesn't have a character. It just says that she's been cast and in a primary role. That's all it says. So what the hell primary role would that be? I mean, we don't know really more of the plot except that, Leslie Odom Jr.'s character has a daughter who has been possessed. So she tracks down Ellen Burstyn's character, which I don't know why you track her down as opposed to a priest, but what do I know? So more Exorcist news. What do you guys think? I mean, it's due out in October.
Maybe they just cast like the voice of the demon kind of thing.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like maybe she's got a nice country raspy demon-y voice, you know?
Yeah, so like, it's like your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Something, I mean, that's the only thing I could think that they would cast so late in the game, like, is the voice acting.
If it's a primary role, yeah.
Primary, yeah. I mean,
it's weird.
I don't know. My only guess.
It's interesting because this movie, we really didn't touch on this, but we know it's directed by David Gordon Green, but it's also written by Danny McBride again. So,
okay,
interesting.
Hmm.
Let's shift gears a little bit. This is some sad news. So you guys remember Julian Sands, yes?
From
Warlock. Warlock from Arachnophobia.
She was a female, right? She was the main lead in Warlock?
No, Julian Sands is the Warlock.
Oh!
okay.
I gotcha. Yes. No, he did not. Don't tell me.
Well, he's been missing for a while now. It's been over a month. He was reported missing while hiking up Mount Baldy in Southern California, and he still has not been found.
Oh, wow.
Authorities have said that the outcome may not be what we would like. So on Saturday, February 18th, they conducted a ground search and they still haven't found him. So that's sad news. Hopefully they do find him and hopefully he is okay, but it's not looking great.
That's terrible. How old does it say how old he was?
Yeah, I think he is
50s, early 60s.
I think he's around 60 or so. It doesn't tell me in this article. But apparently he's a close friend of John Malkovich, and John Malkovich, has said, "I'm the godfather of his first son from his first marriage. I introduced him to his second wife, and we have been close since we met in 1983. It's a very sad event." So that's sad.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah. But it just, he disappeared.
Could be anything.
Yeah, California. It's got some interesting.
He could have slipped and fell for all we know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the big risk of like climbing some mountain trails.
Yeah, hiking mountain trails.
Or he went hiking,
yeah. I mean, people do it all the time, but
that's why he never
twisted ankle.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if he didn't bring a cell phone with him or anything.
I mean, I can't tell you how many trails that I have fallen on, and that's like in this area. Like it's pretty flat here, and I fall pretty much every time I go hiking. So I try to stay away from the mountains. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do. I mean, I always think when I think of hiking, I always think of when Jake had his knee injury after he had hurt his knee. So he's trying to hike in the woods with that stick, and he looked like fucking Torgo from from Manos.
Yes, dude, that was the funniest thing ever.
So he was walking, and I was doing.
The music, the Torgo theme. Yes.
He was getting so mad at us, but laughing so hard. I think that's
probably the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. Like that stands out to me as like one of the funniest moments I've ever seen because it looked so legitly like him. He was just hobbling.
Yeah, because he couldn't bend his knee just like Torgo. Because he had
and his knee was all swollen too. So.
Yeah, great stuff.
Poor guy. That was rough for him.
Yeah, it was not good, but for us it was great. So guys, this is really cool news. We talked about this earlier, but remember we talked about the Welcome to Derry Pennywise prequel series?
Yep.
Well, it's officially been ordered to series by HBO Max.
All right.
So it serves as a prequel to the two Stephen King movies from Andy Muschietti. So that's good news. The series will begin in the 1960s in the time leading up to the events of It Part 1.
Nice.
Interesting.
You guys excited for this?
Yeah, that sounds good.
It does.
Man,
They
that
did a really good job with that remake. So
yeah, and like just dairy itself is so freaky. You know, like you could do so many things. Just the idea of it is creepy.
It's a great concept for a series. I mean, I really liked what was the Stephen King one that they did?
Oh shoot! What
You
is
know
it
the one
called?
I'm talking about.
Yes,
Tommy Knockers.
Castle Rock. Castle
Castle
Rock.
Rock. I knew. I was like,
I really liked Castle Rock because it just combined multiple King stories.
I loved Castle Rock.
And it was cool because, you know, you could like, it's set in this universe. But having a TV series that's based completely off of dairy, and especially in that time frame, starting in the 60s, you could do so much. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, they should do the Tommy Knockers.
Do you remember the original Tommy Knockers,
The TV show?
the
Like it was
the
made for
TV movie? The TV movie?
Oh yeah, didn't it have what's her face?
It had Tracy Lords in it.
That's who I was thinking of.
Yep. And it
For no
also
other
had,
reason than I'm a movie buff.
oh, yeah. You're a fan of Buff, that's for sure. And then Jimmy Smits was also in that.
Yeah,
I never saw that.
honestly,
It's really weird and not very good.
it is. I agree with Jamie. Also, like the one movie that I kind of liked as a kid, which had the worst CGI of any movie ever, is the Langoliers, man.
The Langoliers is interesting, but yeah, the CGI is fucking horrible. They look like ball sacks eating the screen.
I would have likened it to like a really bad Pac-Man live action movie, but Lydia, have you ever seen the Langoliers?
We might have to hit that up one day. We also have to hit up all of the all versions of it, the
Yeah.
miniseries and both movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, you're gonna love this. You ready? Steven Spielberg wants to return to horror.
Do
He-
it.
He says, I got to get back to some of those earlier scary movies.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
He could do Baby Jaws. Do.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus. I am super excited to see Steven Spielberg direct a horror movie.
Yes.
How amazing would that be?
The next like big classic that just scares the shit out of you when you go see it. That's what
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah, I mean, he only made, fucking Jaws.
Yes, dude.
Literally
Poltergeist.
a movie that has decreased an entire population of fish.
Yeah, pretty much. It really did. Jaws, it has the distinction of being one of the few movies on this podcast that got a perfect 10 from all three of us.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have just been going through and listening to the Jaws kind of shark series that with Gorley and Rust.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys
Oh,
have ever
yeah.
listened to them. But I've really been enjoying them a lot.
Yeah, Jaws is a perfect movie. We talked about that on the podcast. So seeing Spielberg dip his toe back into that, I mean, he leans into it every once in a while. There's some scary stuff in Close Encounters before you know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
And then there's some scary stuff in War of the Worlds. And of course, Jurassic Park, which we'll get to one of these days too. Spoiler alert, we're probably going to give it eye marks.
Yeah. I just watched that, so we could talk about it.
That movie literally scared Quincy's brother so much that like when the raptor scene would come on, he would like go hide behind the wall and like watch it, like peeking around the corner. It's good stuff.
That is good stuff.
I still have nightmares about dinosaurs.
We'll get into that one. We'll do that one because it rules. It's a great one. All right, this is interesting. The writers of Ant-Man and Wasp, Andrew Barrier and Gabrielle Ferrari, they are scripting a new movie from Sony Horror called Gnomes.
Gnomes.
I'm gonna
Gnomes.
buy it and give it to Joey.
Joey's going to be terrified of this. The original film watches as a girl stumbled into the territory of a killer gnome tribe while out on her daily run, finding herself in grave danger after being lured in by its mysterious glowing mushrooms, probably provided by Dr. Mushroom Derek. What do you guys think of this?
Sounds good. I
Sounds
don't
right
know.
up my alley.
Actually, it doesn't sound good, but I want to see it.
Yeah, Derek, it's definitely up Derek's alley. I mean,
Yep.
he has a fear of little people. So...
I do not actually have a fear of little people. I play it up.
Joey, our cousin Joey, is legit terrified of garden gnomes, isn't he, Derek?
He is indeed. He does
Did
have a slight fear of that.
Did he watch the Goosebumps episode with the garden gnomes?
I don't think he probably would run away. I mean, it was so bad.
I
That
know.
one's pretty
I
scary.
know the root cause. I would bet money I know the root cause.
What is it?
Uh-oh.
So back in the day, Joey's dad was married to my aunt, right? And my grandparents, and so they would come over, right? So my grandparents had this like creepy old attic, and like you would go up there, it would be cobwebs and all kinds of stuff. And there was this random statue of this lawn gnome that was probably 2.5 feet tall.
That's a tall
Oh.
one, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like covered in cobwebs and dirty and gross, and like the paint was chipped and stuff like that. It was creepy up there, but then you have that. I'm pretty sure that that's what the deep rooted fear that Joey
Maybe
has.
that and I think the Boneyard was the other one because that movie scared him a lot.
The Boneyard. I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
Did it have bones in it?
It had like little like mini like monsters, and so that and garden gnome scare. He could never watch David the Gnome on Nick Jr. That's great.
You know what my little thing was?
What?
The thing from the Cat's Eye.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
That
like
little thing,
as
yeah.
like as gnomish as my fears would get right there. I was like, ooh.
That is a Cat's Eye's a good one. We'll do that sometime.
I do love that one.
So guys, this is hilarious. Funko, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Funko Pops has a new figure out for
Horror figure?
yes, for the Cocaine Bear.
Oh my gosh.
Look at him.
him there.
Look at him.
Oh my gosh.
That's fun.
Oh, look, he's eating a pack of cocaine.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
That's great, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty great. The more I'm hearing about this bear, I just feel really bad.
Well, the real story, yeah, but this movie looks amazing. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see it. It looks like a
Yeah.
blast.
Inspired
It's-
by.
It looks pretty campy.
Yeah, looks like it's really, I've heard reviews that it's really funny and schlocky.
Yeah.
Everything we're wanting in it. And then last but not least, I will share my screen one more time with you. And we will dive into the newest poster for Scream before it comes out next month, which is this really cool one with Ghostface as the Statue of Liberty.
Ooh.
All right, I got to admit that looks good. I like it.
Yeah, it's great. I think that's a great poster, right?
2 weeks.
What do you
pretty good.
think, Lydia?
It's pretty good.
Pretty
Pretty
good?
scary.
Pretty scary? Like
Don't-
garden gnome
don't like
scary? Garden gnome scary?
Way scarier than Garden Gnome, okay?
See, that's the type of advertisement that Jason Takes Manhattan was missing.
Oh.
I think the advertisement for Jason Manhattan was brilliant. I think the movie is not good.
Yeah, the movie, yeah.
Because I mean it did have that beautiful I Love New York poster where Jason's cutting down the middle of it,
Yeah.
and they made him get rid of it because the New York Commerce Board because they were like
They're like,
offended
no,
by
no, no.
it. And I was like,
Man.
what the fuck's wrong with you? It's Jason. Now
Once they saw
would,
it, they were like, never mind, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Nobody's
yeah.
gonna care about
they're probably more offended because they're like, God, people are gonna associate New York with this shitty movie.
it. Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna do this again. I know that I need to get over it, but boy, the nostalgia that Video West had back in the day. And the reason I say that is I remember going there and the smell of that place. And
Oh, yeah.
to rent that movie, I remember picking up that little blue tag.
Yep.
And taking it up there to rent it when it was a new release, because I'm old, Lydia, and you're like a young, vibrant thing.
I went to the movie store.
She went to Video West.
You know what Video West is?
I don't know if I went to Video West
See?
specifically. Is that the one that was on?
That's the one that was that
There's a
is
biker
where the
shop now.
biker
It's in
shop
my
is now.
okay, yeah, the
Yeah.
motorcycle shop. Okay, that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
thought. That's what I was picturing. So, but
Yeah.
I never went to that one. I went to the East Side. That's a,
Yeah,
that
and those
we
are
went to
great.
Wabash. We went
But
to Wabash a lot.
Video
some reason.
West was special because it was a mom and pop shop,
Mhm.
and it just was
Okay,
like it just
that
had
does
like,
sound special.
and it had like a just like Derek said, a smell. It had
Vibe.
wood shelves. You know, had the freaking all the tags were literally hung on nails that they popped into the.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
just like,
trust me, I know all about that.
yeah, you told us that story too.
Mhm.
Derek knows a little bit too much about
Hmm.
those little nails.
Yes, he does. And that wraps up this week's horror news. So, guys, let's talk about Critters 3.
That pause was killing me.
Before we move forward any further, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're sorry?
You're
I am
sorry about this
sorry.
one?
You're
Well,
sorry?
I'm sorry that you guys let me pick this movie.
No.
You should have talked me out of it.
You don't
We
get
did
to
for
be
weeks.
sorry. This was like months of you trying
Yes.
to pick this movie that we kept saying, no, not that one. And then you finally, it's like, we should be sorry, really, because
Yeah.
you finally pick a good movie that we're like, yes, we're going to watch Fright Night. That's what we're going to watch. And then we were like, no, we already did that.
And
Yeah.
then we got Mandela.
We got Mandela. We got into a different dimension. Like something happened.
So, guys, I need to
We only
talk to you,
have-
the audience, for a minute. We need to tell you about something that happened. So, it's not in the episode that last week's episode that you see. I cut it out, but there was a whole 20-minute conversation that happened where Derek picked Fright Night. We're like, Lydia and I were like, we already did Fright Night because we remember
like-
talking about it.
Synchronicity. They're like, no, you can't. We already did that.
Yeah. We both were in agreement that we had definitely done Fright Night.
So then we went through all of the episodes that are available on YouTube, all the ones that we have, and I can't see Fright Night. But what we did discover is that we had already done Evil Dead 2, and then we did it again. So we did Evil Dead 2 twice.
Didn't remember doing that one already.
Didn't remember doing it.
So
So
we remember doing Fright Night. So
we
something
were
happened.
like, we slipped into another dimension, you see, where we had done Fright Night, but not Evil Dead 2. So we were Mandela'd, as Derek said.
How messed up is that? I mean, there's
Wild.
got to be
End
something.
result was this gem of a movie.
Yep.
So this was Derek's backup plan, was this movie. So, guys, Derek, you picked this. Is this your first time watching this movie? And tell us your story about Critters 3.
I don't know. I don't, because there are aspects of this movie that feel familiar. But also, I was watching it, I was like, man, this movie it's just so slow. I don't remember watching it. But I don't know. I can't say. I don't know.
Lydia, how about you?
Yeah, I had definitely seen this before on TV, like on a marathon of some kind, I'm pretty sure. So I kind of watched all of them in like one swoop, and I didn't remember much of this except that it had Leonardo DiCaprio in it, and the rest was kind of forgettable, I guess, to me. But so this was kind of a first watch, but I know I've seen it before. So
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. That's kind of the same thing that happened with me. Like, there were bits of it that I clearly remembered, and then there's most of the movie that I didn't. So, like, I think I watched the marathon as well. Like, it just was on Sci-Fi. These movies were like all on rotation at like in a, successive order, and so I watched bits and pieces of it. I know for sure. So this was kind of like a first watch for me as well, because I remember certain scenes, like the laundry scene, but I don't remember the rest of it. Probably because there's just a lot of boring shit that happens in it, right?
Mm.
I mean, that's probably what we're dealing with. But of course, the most memorable part of this movie is one of the cast members, which is the woman that plays Happy Gilmore's grandma.
Yes.
I know I remembered her from somewhere.
I said the same thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I love her.
That's
She is the
hilarious.
cutest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and she's
Sweetest
funny in this
lady.
too.
I
Oh,
don't know,
also,
but the old lady from The Wedding Singer, the hip to
Oh,
the
yeah.
hip hop, that lady.
she's good too. And Betty White as well.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
all
Betty.
cute. They're all cute. And you know who aren't cute? The old men that are in these movies.
So,
You guys gotta work for that cuteness factor.
Happy Gilmore's grandma's in this movie. Oh, also Academy Award winning actor Leonardo DiCaprio
Yes.
is in this film as well.
Yes.
So this movie is weird, right? It's weird
Yes.
because Derek, you said the word slow at the beginning of talking about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the best way to describe it. And we'll go through it. But the first 20 minutes of this movie drag, right?
Hardcore. They drag hardcore. You know what the best part of the first 20 minutes of this movie is?
What's that?
The 10 minutes that they take to recap the first two movies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you killed him.
You did. No, that's true. I was thinking, I said that same thing to Sarah. She watched this movie with me. She's laying on the couch and she literally says, "This is really slow."
Oh my gosh. I didn't think it was that slow. I was just kind of like watching. I was content.
So here's what's funny about this movie. So we open and we meet, our lead characters. Which Annie, is that her name? Yeah, Annie, and her little brother, and then her dad. So Annie, little brother, and dad, they're like
in the car.
And we get these like just music playing and these.
Oh, they're singing Big Rock Candy Mountain.
That's what it is.
I thought that was cute.
And then the tire blows, and we see the tire blow, and they pull over to this rest area, and to change the tire. And Leonardo DiCaprio's Josh is there with his family, and his stepdad, is the biggest fucking d-hole that's ever lived.
Yeah,
he looks like discount John Waters. This guy.
I was thinking like Vincent Price, kind of too, like Vincent Price, John Waters. Mix, I could see.
Yeah, he has like the freaking John Waters mustache,
but his voice was kind of Vincent.
Like, yeah, he has Vincent. Yeah, but he has the John Waters stash for sure.
Mm-hmm. He's like their baby.
Yeah, so we just go through and we're meeting these characters, and the most odd thing happens. They throw a frisbee, and then out of the ground, Charlie just fucking explodes.
Dude,
wait a second. We gotta back up, man, because the little kid who's like 6 is the fucking frisbee champion, man. They're like chucking this frisbee like they're playing frisbee golf. I mean, it's so impressive. I'm like, there's no way. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Like back in the day when it was just all about like frisbee.
Yeah, it was 1991's when this movie came out, guys.
Oh gosh.
So if it was a few years later, they would be rollerblading while playing frisbee. That's
true.
But Charlie just explodes out of the ground, and we don't get an explanation for why this happens.
We don't. He gets launched.
He just launches out of the ground.
Out of the ground.
What in the hell?
Surprise.
Literally, like I was just like looking at it, like what? And then Jake was just like, "Well, I didn't expect that." I busted out laughing because he was so sincere and genuine. He was just like, "Well, didn't expect that."
You're expecting a scare, which I get that they're, trying to turn on his head, but it's nonsensical. He just explodes out of the ground.
Mhm.
It's such a weird choice. It's so strange.
Yeah. Just explodes out of the ground.
But
And
now
then
it's very memorable.
yeah, it is. And then he just starts, and this is what you talked about, Derek. He starts, telling them the story about Grover's Bend,
Yeah.
and we just go into a giant flashback of the first two movies, the first two much better movies, might I
yes.
add.
Yes.
I know.
Much better.
When they started going through this recap, I was like, man, this is the most interesting. I mean, it's sad to say, this is the most interesting thing that's happened so far.
Yeah, because it's just really, yeah. And then we get like little POV shots of like the critters, and we get like the eggs and stuff. So basically the eggs attach underneath the family's truck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that way, somehow they just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and I don't know where these eggs necessarily come from, but probably in the underground fucking trampoline that Charlie was hanging out in.
Well, I think they insinuate that they were planted there by the critters, but like how? Just thinking of the physical features of a critter, how are they going to carry an egg like that without being seen by anybody in broad daylight?
Hey man, let's not worry about that.
There are more important things like Charlie.
Listen, Charlie exploded out of the ground like he was fucking shot out of a cannon. Like he's a human cannonball.
Literally.
So nothing else really needs to make sense at this point.
I feel like I could talk about that for like an hour.
Well, yeah, because it's just so weird. It's so like it wasn't like he was down there and he grabbed their hands and that's the scare.
That should have been the scare.
Up and it's like, oh, he just explodes out of a hole.
Explodes out, yeah. Like it makes zero sense at all, and it's like, why?
We just had 45 minutes on this.
Leonardo DiCaprio's character is like he's trying to get this frisbee. And he knows that there's a hole here because he's super timid and like he's got a stick, which looking at it, you're like, I don't know where's the hole. But yeah. And then surprise.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It looked like that should have been like in a creek bed or something. Like it looked like kind of like a pile of sticks that has been like
covered
driftwood kind of sticks or something. Like I feel like I've seen similar things to like what that was, but there wasn't a creek there. So what?
It's just so weird. It's so weird.
So strange.
And then the funny fact is he's like telling him all about it. He gives the little boy a crystal and says if it glows green, the critters are near. And so he's like, thanks, Charlie.
Yeah. Thanks for entrusting the 5-year-old with the most important job.
To be fair, the rest of the kids are like, this is a dirty, creepy bum that just exploded out of the ground. Let's stay away from him.
That's true.
I would be the same way. I'd be like,
Yep. And kids, just so you know, if this ever happens to you, don't trust the dirty man who popped out of the ground.
Yeah.
Though this movie tells you should. This movie tells you should.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. So we don't see Charlie for a while, and that's all we see. He sets up the story, basically tells them about the critters to a degree. And then he's off. Because they take off and they go. And then we spend the next 10, 15 minutes in this apartment building. And guys, I've got to talk about fucking Frankie.
Oh my God.
Do we have to talk about Frankie? Can we just skip Frankie?
In his acting. Hey, what are you doing here? It's me, Frankie, you piece of shit.
So bad. So bad.
Terrible.
He's doing an accent, can't you tell?
Can you imagine?
He's from New York.
This guy acting next to one of the top A-list celebrities in the world.
Yeah.
Future top A-lister right next to this guy.
They never actually shared any screen time.
That's
true.
It's
not like Leo was like lighting the screen on fire when his scenes were up here. The dialogue was actually pretty bad.
Yeah, I think he did really good in it,
though. He did great, honestly.
He's great in the movie. Yeah. He's you can see the charisma.
Because you're watching him for the charisma, like you're like watching him like to see like is there a spark of A-list in there?
It's like he's got it. He's gonna be something. This kid.
I think if anything, it's like almost like the camera. The camera person didn't quite capture what he had. That's how I feel. But this is coming from like 7th grade, madly in love with young Leo. So I probably had a little bit different experience than you guys.
I actually thought the young girl did a really good job.
Yeah, Annie does a really good job too. We'll talk about
this
her
movie.
performance here soon too. But first, we got to talk about Frankie, guys. Come on, talk
Frankie.
to me about
No,
Frankie.
I'm not talking about Frankie.
I
I
will
gotta
say-
pass. It's so
It was-
bad.
Yeah, it was bugging me because I was like, man,
He
that
had
guy
so
seems
much-
so familiar. And then I
Ugh.
looked up his filmography, and he was definitely in Contact. So he was the guy whenever they found the signal and they're like verifying it. He's like, whatever it is, it definitely isn't local.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was in a couple
gosh.
other movies, but yeah, he was atrocious. Although his boots were also terrible. I would
I
not
think-
put them
I think they gave him way too much screen time.
for sure.
Yeah, well, that's the thing because he's a good actor. I mean, he's been in a bunch of really great
Like-
movies: Frost Nixon, Apollo 13. Young Guns.
Ugh.
Yeah, I remember him in Young Guns.
I
It's
forget
just-
he was in Young Guns.
Yeah, but it's just his character has just has too much screen time. Like we spend entirely too much. The reason they do it is so we hate him because he's going to be the first to die.
Right, yes.
But we only needed one scene to hate this guy because he's just obnoxious.
Yes, we
Yep.
had so many scenes of him being horrible.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, you talking to the are you out there? Hey, how you doing, little rats? You listening to daddy? Whose house are we going to go to next?" And you're just like, God.
No, but it's that, but like pitched up like 7 octaves higher than what you're doing it. Like
Yeah,
his
because
voice
he's
was
doing
so
it like
high.
this.
Yeah, it was
He's
so high.
doing
I
it
could
like
barely do
this.
it.
It's more like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, dude, tone it down a little.
Well, and
It's
a little
unrealistic.
Yeah, and a little backstory. So, and at this point, we don't know who it is, which interesting tie-in. But he's trying to get the people in that apartment building to voluntarily move.
Right. So
Yes.
he's planting rats and he's breaking the elevator and he's doing all these things. Just being a scumbag.
Yeah. And we're introduced to the female lead of the movie. Well, actually, the female lead is Annie, but we're introduced to the other
Supporting
female lead. Yeah. Supporting actress.
Who gets way less scenes than whatever
Than
his
Frank.
name is.
Then Frankie. Yeah.
She
What's
gets,
her
like, 2
name,
scenes.
guys? Was
I
it?
don't even
I
know.
she works for the phone company.
Yeah. Was it Marsha, or was it?
Marsha.
I think it was Marsha.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So we're introduced to her. She works for a phone company, and she's like rides up on a motorcycle, whatever. And then our family comes in and just doesn't have brakes out of nowhere and just fucking crashes into the back of this other car. And then he's like, "Sorry about that, Mario."
It's just a weird choice to make.
It's
for
a
the
very
scene.
weird
It's
choice.
We're not
completely
telling us
unnecessary.
that there are no breaks.
And it
But-
doesn't make it. It doesn't need to be there. It really doesn't need to be there.
Okay, so when
Oh, I guess it could be that they chewed a hole in the brake
yeah,
line.
I was
Maybe,
gonna say because
maybe.
the dad, when he's like fixing the tire, gets that green slime on his hand, and then they just cut away. They're just like,
yeah. And we
So maybe
see
that was-
underneath. We see underneath, and that's probably why the brakes went out.
Probably.
But what's funny
they don't
is
tell us.
yeah. Well, what's funny is it really doesn't need to be in there because it doesn't. It's not like a
Okay.
plot line that adds to anything.
Yeah.
It's
So
just kind
they
of
were
like
oh, we'd get away if it weren't for our brakes.
Yeah.
it just adds chaos.
yeah. That's all it is because he just slams right into this. So then, like the next long few minutes again, like we see that a critter has busted into the. We know the critter's in the basement. And then we spend a long time with Annie, with the old people, the Mengies, as
I
they're because
love their relationship.
yeah, it's nice. It's nice,
It's super sweet.
but it's just it's just nothing really going on, just their relationship. And then we're introduced to the rotund woman, and she's just this is one of these things that irritates me so much about these. Every scene, this woman is eating. It's like they want to tell us, hey,
Have a
by the way,
donut.
sucker, something she's always eating. It's like, in case we didn't get it, she's husky.
Yeah.
And so
That donut, by the way, was like hard as a rock.
yeah, well,
You
yeah.
set that thing down and it was like
Clunk.
solid. Like, what is that thing made of?
Plastic.
So we
Shut
get
up, Derek.
we get some scenes.
Plastic.
We get some scenes with Annie and her dad. What do you guys think of these scenes?
I actually think that this, they're setting up the dynamic of their relationship, right? So her mom passed away,
Mhm.
and so it's just her dad raising two kids, and a lot of responsibility has fallen on Annie. And he is, at first I thought he was a truck driver.
Yes, so did I. He is a train conductor.
He's a train conductor, which is kind of relevant in the, current stories of today. But yeah, so, and he's about ready to go on a trip, and she's trying to talk to him about responsibility. And he's just like, I don't want to talk about it now. We'll talk about it later. I just want to sit in front of the TV and zone out. And except for, like, she's trying to have a heart-to-heart with him, and the TV breaks. And instead of, like, taking that opportunity to talk to his daughter like a grown-up would, or a concerned father, he's just like, go get me your portable TV.
Yeah, she gets pissed too.
She does.
Also, why did the TV explode?
That we don't know.
It was probably Frankie.
It had to be Frankie.
Yeah.
Messing with the wiring.
I went over here and I messed with the wire and now it doesn't work. And I'm gonna make it explode.
Yeah. Didn't understand that. And like, yeah, it is super frustrating that the dad just won't talk to the dang girl.
He's emotionally like kind of
Checked out.
still grieving his wife. And
Right. Which I understand.
and she's trying to I guess he's just not thinking about it. He's like thinking that she's taking care of everything because she's becoming a woman, and he's not realizing the toll it's taking on her.
Right, exactly. That's the frustrating thing is
Yeah. And yeah, but what really makes me laugh about this is that you guys remember, back in those days, it's like, oh, I need to go grab the portable TV with the batteries on it. Now we can watch whatever we want with our phones.
That's fucking 3 millimeters thick.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so wild.
It is wild. She fucking throws that thing at him too.
Yeah, she does.
And the fact that he just sits it there, it's just he's like, yeah, I'm gonna watch TV. It's so hilarious. It's like,
it's like play a game with your kids. Like she was like, can we play a game or something since the TV's broken? Yeah, she had every right to be really mad at him for that.
Yeah, little one, what's his name? What's the kid's name? I don't know. It doesn't say it in here. Little Bobby Joe. Little Billy or whatever his name is. It's not Billy Brown. It's not Billy Brown.
You guys want to hear a cute story? I'm thinking about it. It's a sidetrack, but it's cute. So, like, I put my son down to bed, like, almost every night. And he's gotten to the point where he'll, like, start, like, making a list. And he'll be like, first, we got to put on jammies. Then I got to cuddle with mom. Then I got to brush my teeth. Then dad's going to read me a story. And then we're going to play the animal guessing game.
Aww.
Like this little thing that he and I do at night. But anyway, those are the moments that, a father like this should really cherish, and he's missing.
Yeah. That's sweet.
It is cute. It gets me every time. So anyway,
Johnny is the kid's name. Sorry.
Johnny.
Who's a twin, by the way, the actor.
Yes, that's how I saw it. I saw that there was the twins, and I was like, Johnny, that's his name.
Yeah, because they were in a couple of like movies.
They're so little.
Yeah.
So
that haircut he's got.
That's almost a bowl.
Classic.
Yeah. 90s. Super 90s AF. Yeah.
I don't know how you would even cut that hairstyle, honestly.
I don't either.
You're like, it's not hard.
It wasn't really a bowl because I guess the bowl cut, from what I recall, like had the shaved, like
Well,
back part.
you
and
can
then
do
shaggy.
it both ways. You can
You
have
can
it
do
shaved
it.
underneath.
Have
and
it a
you can
little
just have it.
faded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
The
it had
good
been like, it maybe was a bowl that had grown out a little
grown
bit.
out. It's
Yeah.
such a fucking 90s haircut.
Oh, yeah. It's cute. Bring it back.
So,
That's cute.
meanwhile, Johnny's hanging out with the Mengies, and he's talking to the old man, Mr. Mengie, about the aliens and everything, and she, because he believes in them and he reads all these things, and the crystal starts glowing green. At this point is when we finally get our first attack after Frankie does a bunch of more obnoxious shit. Like, he's like looking at the woman's bra. He's like, I love my job. And you're like, what the fuck is what?
What's wrong with you?
So he gets killed. What do you guys think of good old Johnny's death scene? Besides finally relieving us from the pain of, or Frankie's death scene, besides finally relieving us from Frankie.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it was like, as far as like gore, it wasn't like super. I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, it's a PG-13 movie. It is what it is.
Yeah. It was fine. It a little predictable, I would say.
Yeah.
It had promise. I mean, so he's in a dark basement and he hears a noise in the dryer and he opens it up. Like, out comes this critter and latches onto his neck. Now he does take one of them out.
Yeah, he stabs one.
Yeah.
But at the end, he gets eaten.
Yeah, they gave us a false scare because he opens the dryer and pulls out a shoe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then the critter jumps from the shelf above.
Yeah, I guess it did.
And then he gets he stabs the one, but he gets eaten, and then he's dead. And then the bigger lady, she comes down and sees, and I wish I remembered her name, so I don't have to just keep calling her the bigger lady. Roselle?
I was gonna say Marge.
Yeah, it's Roselle. That's who it is. Her name's Roselle. So Roselle goes down there and eating that fucking donut, like you said, Lydia, and it's hard as a rock.
Heavy donut.
And she gets attacked by the critters. What do you guys think of this attack scene? I think this was pretty good.
Well, I just have to say that I think that 80% of this movie is just people hearing things.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah.
What's that? What's over there? I think I heard something. Hello? Someone there? And then they keep doing that over and over.
You're right.
And then they get attacked, and then they're like, "Oh, I saw something." And
yeah, yep. I think this one's okay when she gets attacked. It's fun because she gets wrapped up in the clothesline, and she's like stuck. But then our friend Annie hears it, so she goes down to see what the heck is going on. And
we did learn some things that they never used again. Apparently, bleach is really bad for them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like acid.
Yeah,
it burns old boy. He like gets. I think. Let's take a moment right here. Let's talk about the critters themselves because I think they look great.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
Especially when he's got
brothers.
The burn.
Yeah, he's got the acid burn and the bleach, the white piece of hair.
Yeah,
great.
That's a cool design.
Yeah,
it's nice to be able to distinguish them apart too.
Yeah, and they have like they're just animatronics and they're practical. They're great. They're
all
great.
subtly different, which is cool.
I think they're great. The Chiodo brothers designed the critters. So that's cool. But Annie comes and saves her, and she gets. The woman gets hit with one of the critter darts, so she's like can't quite move, and she's pulling her up the stairs. In the meanwhile, Josh and his evil stepdad are heading to the apartment because they're like, Yeah. The stepdad's like, we got to get him out of there. Because if not, we have to pay him to leave, you see. And
Yeah.
Josh says, well, aren't you supposed to pay him? And he's like, no, son, that's not how it works, sport. And then he calls him sport 450 times through the rest of his runtime.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sarah said, we will never call Connor sport. I was like, no, nobody does that.
Not today, but
Not
I mean,
today.
it's not. It's like the kid was like, "Please don't call me that."
Well,
so
this is-
stop
this
that, and
is
then
a
he directly
stepdad.
keeps
It's a
calling him
stepdad,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a stepdad.
And he hates him. So the critters attack. They attack, both of them. And then the dad comes down. He gets hit. And they manage to all escape the critters.
Yep.
And are locked up in the upstairs room, right? They're locked up in the Mengi's house. So by the time that Josh and his stepdad arrive, they don't see anybody. They go straight down to the basement, and this fucking asshole just starts like cutting the power to the place and cutting the phone
Mhm.
lines.
Yeah.
Before they cut the phone lines, Mr. Mengi gets a phone call out to Grover's Bend, and then he gets disconnected, which is important
hmm
because of what happens next.
So real quick, I think that this is kind of where the movie did shift for me. So the first part was like real, just slow and pretty boring. But once they got to the point where they introduced the critters themselves, we were talking about like how they are unique. Man, that's a lot of the scenes that they're in is really where the humor lies in this movie.
No, there's a great scene where they take over an apartment and they have like this whole fun. I really like this scene. They have one that's drinking soap.
Yep.
One that's drinking soap. We have one that's eating
Beans. He's eating beans.
ham and beans because she was cooking it, and it looked disgusting, by the way, the ham and beans.
Yeah.
And so then this critter that eats the ham and beans gets gas and just keeps farting.
Yes.
And they're like, "P.U." And then the one's blowing bubbles because he's eating all the soap.
Yes.
What do you think of this scene?
I thought it was fun, and then I realized this is like
Gremlins?
Gremlins, but worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Yeah, it's Gremlins, but I liked
But
it for what
fine.
it was. Yeah.
It's fine. It's fun. But yeah, it's like definitely
It
couldn't
was one of
help
my,
comparing.
it was one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Yeah.
No,
Even though
I
it
think
was
it's
a direct ripoff.
Yeah.
but it's still cool and fun. There's some really cute things that happen. And like when he pours all the flour on them and they're like, "Ah."
Yeah. I was like, what?
Hey,
So-
when did Sonic the Hedgehog come out?
1990, something like that.
Do you know why?
Yes, I do.
'Cause they freaking stole his like.
Then they totally did.
Yeah, they're like that. We'll take that because that happens like twice that they do. Like,
Well, he came out that year, 1991, so it might just be a coincidence.
could be. I think they stole it.
Yeah, they do a new thing. They have a new move where they do a Sonic spin. And
Literally.
there's just like a lot of, in this section of the movie, there's just a lot of like stuff happening. So we have Annie trying to crawl around the down the elevator shaft. We have the other woman,
Marsha.
We have
Can we
Marsha.
call her AT&T.
Yeah, Marsha saves Josh. So Josh and Mr. D-Bag go into the apartment, which happens to be our lead, Annie's house, Annie's apartment, and because they hear the TV on, and they're watching. They're all watching the TV. The gremlins, sorry, the critters are, and he gets killed. What do you guys think of his death scene? It's totally off screen.
It's off screen.
Yeah.
Guys, come
which is,
on.
one of our worst. We hate off-screen
This
deaths.
is like the villain of the movie.
Yeah, and he dies really early too, considering.
Yeah. It makes
You
no
Have no
sense.
interaction with the rest of the cast. I
Yeah,
mean,
I thought for sure he was gonna make it towards the end and then, get his comeuppance, but no, he just like dies immediately.
He just,
Yep.
that's it.
And then Josh, of course, gets saved by Marcia. They head into the apartment, and that's when they're like, "Oh, Josh, Annie, oh, how's it going?" So they're crawling in the vents. She's trying to crawl up to the roof to get out.
yep.
And this is where Charlie enters the picture
Again.
because she's down on the first floor, runs into Blackie, which is one of the Blackie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, Blackie's in trouble.
Oh my gosh.
So
Screams like an opera singer.
yeah.
Okay, I did actually like that.
Yeah, because he does it forever. It's kind of hilarious. He just keeps going, and she's just like,
It's like shattering glasses and stuff.
yeah. And he's just
I like that.
so dumb.
So dumb. So dumb.
Hey, real
Blackie.
quick, remind me at the end of this episode, just say caca.
Okay, will do. So, yeah, and so she's like in dire straits because the rest of the critters come down, and she's about to get killed. She's blocking them with the sign, and then, well, she's screwed. And then out of nowhere, again, another explosion happens.
Uh-huh.
This time with the gun, at least, and in comes Charlie.
Yeah, I was like,
And
what is this, Aquaman?
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, I got a call from, Grover's Bend or whatever." He's like, "I heard, I knew you guys needed help." You're like, "Of course you did. And how'd you get here? Who cares? Whatever, Charlie. Come on in.
Yeah.
Come on in and shoot some critters." So he shoots one critter, then his gun jams.
Mm-hmm.
So they make their way up into the elevator, which turns on because he kicks it. And then we're kind of like in the end game at this point.
Yep.
Like that quick, right?
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So they make it on. So this whole time, Marcia's just kind of hanging,
Yeah, she just wants to make her phone call.
trying to make a phone call. She's hanging,
This was
trying to
pretty
reach
funny
it.
scene of
Except
her
that it
trying
just-
to reach it.
It never ends.
It's okay. This kind of had me thinking about like comedy rhythms. You know what I mean? The rhythm was not on, it was not funny.
Yeah, it was off. Yeah.
But do you guys feel that way? Because I have never really noticed it. Like that I'm just like, okay, this is funny, but it's not making me laugh. Like it was funny that she was like kept missing, but
No.
Mhm. Like it was
It's-
a running gag.
Yeah,
it was like
so-
something was off about it. I couldn't put my thumb on it. I was like, it must be just the rhythm of it.
Comedy works best in threes, right?
Right.
So, and also you have to have setup, punchline, setup, punchline. So the setup is she's hanging there,
Uh-huh.
and so you go 1, oh no,
Yeah.
2, oh no, 3, she should have grabbed it, pulled, and then oh no. Then you
Yeah.
would have got the joke. It would have landed, but instead it's just kind of wonky.
Yeah.
It goes for too long. It goes
Yes,
for too long.
It does. It does.
Goes
Yep.
for too long. And what would be funny is if she did that the third time, let's go. Then the next time we see her, she's just still dangling there.
And somebody like walks by and
Yeah.
she gets the phone.
Yeah. And
Like,
I mean, it
like
just
that.
would have been, that would have done it. By the way, I
Yeah.
forgot to mention the building's on fire at this point,
Oh yeah,
Also,
yeah.
which
'Cause the
never really
flare.
comes into play because, yeah, he gets the thing shot down his throat.
Yeah, the flare.
The flare,
She
she
shoves the
shoves
flare
it,
down the throat, which
then he
was cool
falls down
because
a
you
laundry
could see
chute.
his little like rib cage
Yeah, his
glowing.
little skeleton.
I
really
kind of
like
like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like that. So she shoves the flare down his throat, and he's in the laundry and he catches everything on fire. So it's burning from the basement up incredibly slowly.
It took so long to catch fire.
Yeah,
It was just kind of roasting down there.
Yeah. And then it starts to catch stuff on fire really slowly. So the building is slowly getting ablaze because she's like, the building's on fire as she's hanging upside down.
It's like, yeah, because you had a flare in the house instead of a flashlight for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. So they shoot the one critter out of the locked door so they could get up onto the roof because the roof was locked. And he uses his gun jams, she pulls it out, puts in the new bullet, and he shoots it and blows it up. So they get up on the roof, and the funniest thing ever happens. They're on the roof. There's a lone critter left. And
lone critter.
It's Stripes, right?
And it jumps at Johnny in slow motion, and then Charlie just dives and catches it and falls off the roof.
Flies off the roof. And then the kid falls off anyways.
Yeah, and she catches it. What do you guys think of this?
It was so
I
stupid.
remember when, watching it and him jumping off the roof, and I'm like, I mean, it's kind of funny just because of the sound that he's making.
Yeah.
But it's so, I don't know.
Cheesy.
Cheesy is a good word to
Bad.
use. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's cheesy for sure.
I get what they're going for. That's fine. But the execution was really weird on it and wonky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, whoa! It grabs and they
Like, what? Like, you're a bounty hunter.
Yeah. Well, for a movie, he
Clumsy bounty hunter.
And then dude, it cracks me up because she's like trying to hold him up, and then another hand reaches in, and it's her dad, which has been useless the whole movie. He comes up and he's like, and it's like this moment of, yeah, finally, you're doing your fucking job as a father. Congratulations.
I mean, he was still reeling from the poison.
Yes, of course.
Start. If we're gonna give him any type of.
He wasn't before with the TV, Derek.
I mean, that is true. He was just being a D.
Yep.
Not dad.
But a dick.
Douchebag. I was gonna say douchebag.
Oh, all right. So
that would be DB.
Yeah, DB. D-bag.
You know what? I'm gonna go with it. He was just a D.
Change your answer.
Listen, Derek's not good at abbreviations. We still have LBJ.
Hey, let me tell you what. That's a classic. Okay. It made a real impact on this podcast.
It did. So, guys, this freaking ending is hilarious, right? So we have Charlie's hanging on the flagpole. He falls through their RV, goes out, climbs out, and is perfectly fine. Has impaled the critter on his antenna that he has on himself for some reason.
Like one does.
As you do. Has the antenna, and then he, like hugs it, and then we cut and it's daylight, and the fire department's there, and then we get the wrap up of everything is okay. Like, they're not forced to move because the mom is like, I know my husband was a slumlord, and I sat by while it was going on, but I decided, since you helped my son, not going to sit around and let you guys not have a place to live. So I'm going down to the bank tomorrow morning, and we're going to get you guys some money. But you can stay until a hotel until we get this place fixed.
Well, it was the relocation money.
Yeah. So instead of relocating, they're rebuilding the apartments.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, we'd love that. Also, there's a little side tangent where subplot where the woman Rosale
had a thing for Charlie.
Was in love with Charlie. She's like, who's that hunk? And we get this weird slow motion.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that was funny.
Yeah. I mean, just like looking
It's
like a
model.
fucking goober.
Like a model.
Yeah, looking like a goob.
And then when
That
he
was-
smiles, you're just like, yeah, there he is.
Yep, there he is. So of course,
that she was just like, oh, like
so she's like, "Where's that guy?" And he's like, "Oh, Charlie's gone. I don't know where he went."
yeah.
And they're like, "Everything's okay." Leo and Annie have like a little thing going on.
Ooh.
Ooh, their little romance.
So
So Charlie,
cutest.
It's all
Yeah.
fun and games until she's 30, and then she's out of there.
28 probably.
Sorry, Lydia. I know it just sacrilege right there.
I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, how old is Leonardo DiCaprio? And Jake looked it up. Yeah, he's like 48.
Yeah.
And I was like, so you're saying there's a chance?
You got a couple more years.
Yeah. I
At
mean,
least.
you're on the cusp of being too old for him at this point,
Yeah.
Lydia. You're on the cusp. You're on the cusp.
I'm definitely, I feel so old. Oh my god.
I feel so old because Leo won't date me.
Yeah.
If only I was 17. No, I'm just kidding. Don't sue us.
Leo, if you're listening, just hit me up. Just hit me up. We'll just talk. We can talk about it. We'll go see a movie like you and Annie in this horrible monstrosity of a film.
So yeah, Annie and Lee, Josh have like a little flirtation, and then we're just like, well, Charlie left. I don't know where he is, and then we get the weirdest ending.
I don't know what you mean by weird, dude. It totally sets up Critters 4, of which I have.
Which is terrible. It's even worse than this one. But anyway, yeah, it's totally just a cliffhanger ending for the fourth movie. But it's so awkwardly done over like freeze frames of credits.
Yes.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
Anytime it's building any momentum, it just stops. Freeze frame credits, then some more stuff.
Yes.
So he's about to kill the rest of the eggs. And he gets an alert from Ugg, who says that, the galactic rules are that he can't eliminate a species. And these are the last two Krite eggs. And he's like, well, Krites are dangerous. He's like, I know they're dangerous, but we can't eliminate a species. So you and the Krite eggs, we're sending a ship over. So you and the Krite eggs have to get on it. He's like, great, okay. And then it just ends with to be continued.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that ending.
Yeah. Lacks any forward momentum, that's for sure.
I mean,
Well, and it's like those were the last Krites that he just killed. So why didn't they just stop him from doing that sooner?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, he could have, I guess, I don't know.
Like those eggs might not be any good.
Yeah, they're good because
I
we
know
wouldn't
they're
have a
good.
franchise without
I'm
it.
just saying, like, who's going to incubate those things?
How did they know? Do they have like a little
How
How do they
counter?
know?
Yeah.
Exactly. They had a counter. They're like, oh, there's 2 left.
Looks
Stop
like
them
there's 7 left, and they've killed about 5 of them. So we're not going to step in until that 5th one's dead.
until yeah. It's like how about just know how many's left of yours? If you
Yeah.
already know, come on. They already knew how many there were. There
Interesting.
wasn't many.
So you guys dug that ending, huh?
I do think that it would have worked better if it would have been like kind of like a
Post-credits?
comic book style. Like
Yeah.
if they would have like cut like each of those times that he like freeze framed with the credits, if it would have like turned into like some kind of artwork
Yeah.
instead of just a freeze frame.
Or if they would have let the scene play out all the way, or if they would have had that as a post-credit scene.
yeah, Marvel
Yes.
hadn't really made a splash yet, so.
Oh, there was plenty of Masters
it
of the
was-
Universe has a post-credit scene.
It does?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
No?
After the credits of Masters of the Universe, Skeletor pops out of the swamp and he smiles at the camera. I'll be back.
Wow.
He says, "I'll
Nice.
be back."
Nice.
Mother, you think you know something.
Yep.
That ruins my entire childhood. Thank you.
What, that they were confident enough to think that that movie was going to get a sequel?
Maybe.
And
I do
that
think it
is-
was. I'm sorry. I do think
Go
it was a creative choice.
Yeah, well,
I thought
they
it was. Yeah, I
were
didn't hate
doing
it.
they were doing Critters 3 and 4 back to back, I think. They did it back to back because it was shot simultaneously with Critters 4 from February to July of 1991. So, you know, they kind of had the setup and they were doing them simultaneous. I just think that it would have been better without the freeze frame credits.
You're 100% right.
I think if they would have had the credits even rolling on the bottom of the screen while it was going, or just on the screen, would have been better because it wouldn't have cut the tension of everything. Because every time there was any forward momentum, they literally just freeze framed, and it just killed any kind of flow that the scene had. And that's Critters 3, the last Friday. What are you guys' thoughts on Critters 3? Derek, you picked this one. What do you think?
It has such a different tone than the first two movies. And the first two movies I found really enjoyable. They had really
we all
good-
did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think one thing that I really they had some synchronicity between the two, right? There was characters came from the first one into the second one. This only had the one character.
Charlie, yeah.
He was barely in it, and the scenes that he was in, like, kind of didn't make any sense.
What are you talking about? Everybody explodes out of holes.
You know, I mean, that's how I surprise my kids all the time.
Clark.
I did scare him pretty good not too long ago. But anyway, so like this movie doesn't have any continuity, not only with the first two movies, other than the entire recap, but also like even with itself. Like the first act is super slow. It does set some things up, but it's real clunky, right? And it's not engaging. They don't really keep your attention. It's very easy to like drift off into doing something else, especially in the day, today's age with cell phones. Like, oh, I'll just check this. And then when you get to the end, like the best part about this movie is the comic relief of the critters.
Yeah.
That's what I found, most appealing about this entire movie. And although it's called Critters, they probably shouldn't be the main draw. The people that they are killing, you get that attachment and you care about them and you don't want to see them die, which, does kind of happen to like Annie and her brother, but her dad, he survives. Why? And actually, I think you had a really good point. The main villain of the movie, other than the critters, the landlord, like they should have kept him around, created some more animosity between him
Tension. Yeah.
and the tenants of this building that he's trying to get evicted. That way, when his death does happen, it's satisfying because right when it happens, you're just like, okay.
It's
Yeah.
just upsetting because Leo just said, "I wish you would die" or something like
Yeah,
that.
when it happened.
And slams the door on him in that room where he gets killed. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like a weird, like deeply emotional problem
It
that
is.
they just kind of skip over.
Yeah, then he kind of deals with a little bit. He's like, well, because she's like, my mom's dead too. And he's like, I bet you didn't tell her that you hope she dies.
Yeah. And that's like,
And then she's like, then he says, we came here to kick you guys out. And she's like, that sucks.
yeah, she literally was like, yeah, that's not good. Like, don't do that.
Yeah. So, long story short,
Yep.
my rating for this movie, I am going to give this movie 3.5 shroons.
Shrooms.
Yeah.
I think you need to eat more than 3.5 shrooms to watch this movie and enjoy it.
3.5 shrooms.
You're gonna need at least 4.5.
Yeah, at least.
Which I think
Lydia.
is what I'm gonna give it.
You're going to give it 3.5 shrooms?
I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
give it a whole point up from from Derek's.
You enjoyed it more than Derek?
I must have, but maybe it's just my love for Leo, my young
Maybe.
love.
Yeah, I think it just won't let you do it.
You put me in touch with my young heart.
Look, I'm right in between you guys. I'm going to give it a 4 because it's not very good. But the things I liked, I did like. I think the visual effects, the critter effects are great. I enjoy them. I think there's some strong performances here and there. Frankie almost made me give this thing a -7.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Frankie.
You know what?
I give Frankie a 0.
3.5 for me. I lowered it back down to 3.5. It's a 3.5 for me. Frank, I just thought about Frankie again. I was like, no, can't do it. But there's other stuff in it that I enjoyed. I think there's some fun mayhem in the apartment. That's okay. It's just only 2 deaths in the movie. Only 2 people die, and there's not enough tension in those. And some of the comedy doesn't land. It's just kind of awkward.
All right, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 too.
And then all of Charlie's like stuff, like he's just in the beginning, then in the end, and it's all nonsensical when he appears. So it's really weird. So yeah, 3.5 for me.
So we all agree that this movie is not a good movie.
Right. We all agree that this. I think this is easily the worst of the critters that we've watched so far.
Definitely the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
But it's still better than like Children of the Night and like Popcorn.
Dude, Children of the Night.
Popcorn. I don't know what you're talking about, Lydia.
Do you think Popcorn was better or worse than this, Jamie?
Well, I can tell you what the numbers say.
I think Popcorn was better than this.
I think Popcorn's better than
what
this.
did we give Popcorn? Does anybody know?
I think I gave it a 4.
Let's see.
I feel like I know exactly what I gave it.
I think you gave it a 0, Lydia.
Popcorn?
No, I think you gave it a 1. 1 out of 10, maybe.
I'll get
Derek's checking.
I am.
I don't know if he has that far back.
I don't know either. I don't see it. I can tell you the first Critters that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw it. We all gave it 7s.
Yeah, because it was fun. I think we gave Critters 2 in the 6s.
Yeah. Yep. So Critters 2 got 7 across the board.
Oh.
Nope. I gave it a 7.5. You 2 gave it a 7. Let's see. Critters 2 actually, I think, scored higher than the original.
Oh.
So I gave it an 8.25. Lydia gave it a 7, and you gave it a 7.5.
Yeah, I think I liked it a little better than the first one.
Yeah, so dramatic drop off.
Yeah, this one's a dramatic drop off at 3.5 across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Popcorn. Let's see. Jamie gave it a 5. Derek gave it a 6.5, and I gave it a 4.
Yeah, so this is definitely, or Popcorn is definitely better than this one.
Yeah, it was just, yeah.
Lydia, do you have your numbers on a spreadsheet, or do you have it on paper?
I do. I have them. I don't know how to send this to you, but I'll work on that.
So yeah, that is Critters 3. So as you guys know, it is my turn to pick. And I thought long and hard about what we're going to pick.
Critters 4.
Critters 4. No, of course not. But we are going to do a sequel. And it's going to be a sequel to an 80s film. And it's going to be the 3rd installment of a sequel to an 80s film. It's going to be Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors.
Yes, I knew it.
We're the Dream Warriors. Maybe tonight you'll be gone.
Oh
yeah. So get ready, folks. Dream Warriors. Pop in your docking tapes. Grab yourself a spoonful of coffee. Make some paper mache houses, because we're going into the Dream Warriors next week. How exciting is that, right?
Hey,
I'm excited.
It's better than what I just picked. So
yeah, definitely. So Derek, caca for your story
Oh
time.
my gosh, are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right. So, let me preface this by saying I love my Aunt Joyce. She is a funny, funny lady, and I could like tell a ton of stories just about her. But this particular one kind of stands out. So one day she was telling me about like, her and her husband, and they were in Walmart one day and they got separated, and she was like, and you know how we find each other when we're lost? And I was just literally in my mind, I was like thinking of like the most random, stupid thing that somebody could do that I saw in a movie one time. And it was from Evolution. And
Yeah.
Sean William Scott, and he goes, caca. And for whatever reason, I was like, I don't know, you guys yell out, caca. And she goes, how did you know that?
Oh my god.
Like, oh my God.
That's amazing.
That's not a thing, really.
I usually just
Caca?
call my wife on the cell phone.
Yeah, I mean, this was back in a time when they couldn't afford cell phones.
I see.
But yeah,
Not
I was
everybody
just
has one.
blew my mind that one, I guessed it, and two, that they would actually use that as a form of like.
They're just walking around Walmart. Caca!
Yeah. We used to do that like at our house. Like my mom would do that a lot. Like me and my mom would just kind of do that
As
back
a
and forth.
joke, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not as they like.
Yeah,
"I'm
as like
over
a movie
here."
reference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like, so they have a huddle before. So honey, if we get separated in Walmart, remember, you just yell out caca and I'll come and find you.
Yeah. She, like I said, she means well in everything that most things that she does. But anyway.
So, guys, that wraps up this episode. Any last final thoughts on Critters 3?
Skip the movie, watch the podcast. It'll be more.
Yes.
It's a good idea. Yeah. Not our finest picking of movies. Not the best. Last week's episode was, a all-time classic. This one not so much. And then next week we'll see. Dream Warriors is streaming on. Let's see. Well, Dream Warriors is available on YouTube, Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, Google Play, Redbox, and Vudu. Also, HBO Max. So you can watch Dream Warriors in any of those places. So, like I said, don't forget to put in some docking and get ready for the Dream Warriors next week. You can follow us online. You can follow us at HiLaProductions.com. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. Follow us on Instagram at Scream Bloody Movies. And you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster. You can follow Lydia at... You're muted, by the way, Derek. You went almost the entire episode. Almost the whole episode.
Don't forget to plug my new username.
You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster, or coming soon, Dr. Mushroom. Follow Lydia at Lydia is Spooky, and you can follow me at Racket. Be sure to comment down below on your favorite Critter movie, and any movies you'd like us to do in the future. Be sure to share, subscribe, tell all your friends about the podcast, and don't fall asleep and watch Dream Warriors for next week. So until then, for Lydia Judy and Derek Lemaster, I am Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream, scream bloody movies.